Hudson had always known the weight of secrets in his family, heavy as the logging trucks rumbling down the backroads of Astoria, Oregon, where the Columbia River met the Pacific in a perpetual gray churn. Born in 1997 to a fisherman father and a schoolteacher mother in that fog-shrouded coastal town, he grew up with salt in his lungs and the scent of fresh-baked sourdough from his mom's kitchen. The house on Elm Street was a clapboard relic from the 1920s, creaking under the weight of three boys, Hudson the middle one, bookish and quiet, Caleb the eldest, all rough edges and football dreams, and little Theo, the baby, with his wild curls and endless questions. Their father, Harlan, was a man of few words, his hands calloused from decades hauling salmon nets, his faith as unyielding as the basalt cliffs lining the river. Sundays meant First Baptist, where Pastor Ellis preached fire and brimstone from a pulpit carved like a ship's prow, and the congregation nodded along, their lives a tapestry of church potlucks and high school rivalries. Hudson remembered the exact moment the fracture began, sharp as a snapped fishing line. He was 14, sprawled on the threadbare carpet of the living room, a dog-eared copy of The Catcher in the Rye open on his chest. The TV flickered with some old western, John Wayne drawling about justice, but Hudson's eyes were on Caleb, 18 and home from his first semester at community college in Portland. Caleb had bulked up, his flannel shirt straining over new muscles, and when he ruffled Hudson's hair, laughing at a dumb joke about rye fields, something twisted in Hudson's gut, not revulsion, but a pull, magnetic and terrifying. That night, alone in his room with posters of Nirvana peeling from the walls, Hudson lay awake, heart pounding like waves against the jetty. He didn't have the words for it yet, but he knew this wasn't how brothers were supposed to feel. Or anyone, for that matter. The days blurred into a careful dance after that. Hudson threw himself into school, acing English lit while dodging the locker room jabs from the jocks who sensed his softness like sharks scent blood. Astoria High was a pressure cooker of flannel and football, where coming out would be like jumping into the Columbia without a life vest. He dated Jenny Hargrove for a month in sophomore year, her laughter like wind chimes, but every chaste kiss left him hollow, staring at the ceiling fan whirring like a judgmental eye. Caleb was away more, chasing welding certifications and a girl named Tara from Warrenton, but when he visited, Hudson's chest tightened, a secret bruise blooming under his ribs. Theo, oblivious at 10, trailed after him like a shadow, begging for stories about Seattle, that mythical city up the coast, all skyscrapers and coffee shops, where Hudson whispered dreams of escape. Harlan noticed first, or maybe he didn't, but Pastor Ellis did. It started with a youth group, mandatory for the Whitaker boys, where Bible studies twisted into warnings about the sins of Sodom. Hudson sat in the circle of folding chairs in the church basement, the air thick with stale donuts and teenage sweat, nodding along as Ellis railed against the plague of perversion sweeping the cities. One night, after a particularly venomous sermon on Leviticus, Ellis pulled Hudson aside, his grip firm on the boy's shoulder. "Son, the devil whispers sweet lies to the young. You fighting any battles in that heart of yours?" Hudson mumbled something about homework, but the seed was planted, festering like damp rot in the eaves. By junior year, the whispers turned to shouts. Jenny dumped him for not putting out, and the rumor mill churned, Hudson Whitaker, the quiet kid with the pretty eyes, must be one of those. Caleb heard it during a weekend home, his face darkening over dinner as Harlan carved the pot roast. "What's this bullshit I hear at the barbershop?" he growled, fork stabbing the air. Hudson froze, peas forgotten on his plate, while Theo's wide eyes darted between them. Harlan's voice was low thunder. "You got something to say, boy? Or is this town talking out its ass again?" Hudson denied it, voice cracking like thin ice, but the lie tasted like bile. That night, Caleb cornered him in the garage, tools clanging like accusations. "If you're... you know. It's okay, Hud. Just don't let Dad find out. He'd lose his shit." The relief was fleeting, laced with shame, Caleb's hand on his arm, steady and warm, stirring that forbidden ache again. Spring brought relief in the form of acceptance letters. Hudson had applied to the University of Washington on a whim, visions of rain-slicked streets and anonymous crowds dancing in his head. Seattle felt like salvation, a place where he could breathe without the river's watchful eye. But graduation night shattered the illusion. The bonfire on the beach crackled under a bruised sky, seniors swigging from hidden flasks, the Pacific roaring approval. Hudson slipped away to the dunes, heart racing from stolen glances at Micah Reed, the lanky artist with paint-streaked jeans who'd sketched him once in art class. Micah followed, his voice soft over the waves. "Hey, Whitaker. You ever think about just being?" Their kiss was salt and smoke, clumsy and electric, Hudson's first real one, hands fumbling like he'd forgotten how to hold on. Word spread faster than driftwood. By Monday, Harlan had the principal's call, then Pastor Ellis at the door with a pamphlet, Hope for the Homosexual, A Path to Restoration. The dinner that followed was a battlefield. Harlan's fist slammed the table, venison stew sloshing like blood. "This ain't my boy. This is the devil's work, and we'll burn it out." Caleb argued, voice rising like a squall, but Thea whimpered from the stairs, clutching his stuffed orca. Their mother, Lydia, wept silently, her hands twisting her apron like a rosary. The verdict came swift: no Seattle. Instead, a summer at Eden's Gate, a conversion camp in the Cascades, run by the same network of churches that dotted the Bible Belt but hid in Washington's evergreen shadows. "It's for your soul, Hudson," Lydia whispered as they packed his duffel, her eyes pleading. "God loves you too much to let you stray." The drive up was a funeral procession, Harlan's truck eating the miles in grim silence. Caleb had stayed behind, welding job calling, but he'd slipped Hudson a mixtape, Nirvana's unplugged session, a quiet rebellion. As the pines thickened and the road narrowed to gravel, Hudson pressed play, Kurt Cobain's rasp filling the cab, "Come as you are." Harlan snapped it off, jaw set. That crap's part of the problem. Eden's Gate loomed at the end, a cluster of log cabins ringed by razor wire disguised as rustic fencing, the sign proclaiming "Where broken hearts find healing." Counselors in khakis greeted them, smiles sharp as switchblades, and Harlan shook hands like sealing a deal. "Fix him," he muttered, clapping Hudson's back too hard. As the truck rumbled away, dust clouding the air, Hudson stood alone, the weight of the mountains pressing down, wondering if he'd ever see the river again. The first week blurred into a regimented haze, dawn prayers in the chapel, a drafty barn where boys like him, 30 in all, ages 14 to 20, from farm towns and suburbs, sat shoulder to shoulder on hard pews, reciting verses on purity. Mornings meant masculinity workshops, where they chopped wood and wrestled in the mud, grunts echoing like war cries, all under the watchful eye of Brother Mark, an ex-Marine with a buzz cut and a tattoo of a cross peeking from his sleeve. Afternoons were therapy circles, air thick with confessions. I looked at a man and felt wrong. Hudson spoke little, his voice trapped like salmon in a weir, but the nights were worse, bunk beds in cabins named after apostles, whispers snuffed by curfew bells, dreams tangled with Caleb's laugh and Micah's touch. One evening, as thunder rolled over the ridges, Hudson met Alex. It was during free time in the library cabin, a room of musty Bibles and pamphlets with titles like The Lie of Liberation. Alex was 16, from Spokane, with olive skin and black hair falling in waves, his eyes dark pools of defiance. He was sketching in a notebook, forbidden but smuggled, when Hudson slid onto the bench opposite. "What are you drawing?" he whispered. Alex glanced up, a half-smile cracking his guarded facade. "Dragons. They don't give a damn about sin." Their conversation flowed like hidden streams, Alex sharing stories of his immigrant parents' fury, Hudson unburdening the Astoria ache. By lights out, they traded bunks, knees brushing under the covers in silent solidarity. As the weeks wore on, Eden's Gate revealed its sharper edges, the therapy veering into coercion that left bruises no one could see. Hudson and Alex became anchors for each other, stealing moments in the shadow of the prayer rock, a boulder etched with John 8 verse 11, where sinners were meant to atone alone but often huddled in pairs. Alex taught Hudson to fold origami cranes from torn Bible pages, each bird a fragile fuck you to the rules. "In Japan, they say 1,000 bring miracles," Alex murmured one dusk, his fingers brushing Hudson's as he passed the paper. The touch lingered, electric as a storm's first crack, and Hudson felt that old pull, now laced with something tender, not twisted by brotherhood. Back home, letters arrived like sporadic lifelines. Lydia's were perfunctory, scented with lavender and laced with scripture, praying for your breakthrough, my love. God is mending you. Harlan's were absent, his silence a judgment heavier than words. Caleb's, though, crackled with contraband, snippets of Portland life, mentions of Tara's laugh, and veiled reassurances, hang in there, little bro, Seattle's waiting. And hey, that mixtape? Burned one for myself. Theo's scrawls were pure joy, drawings of whales breaching the Columbia, questions about camp food, do they have s'mores? Tell me everything when you get back. Hudson hoarded them under his mattress, reading by flashlight, the words a tether to the world beyond the wire. The camp's core was the accountability groups, small clusters of 5 boys overseen by a counselor, where they dissected urges like surgeons with dull knives. Hudson's group included Alex, a farm kid named Riley from Yakima with freckles and a stutter, and 2 others, silent types from Idaho, their eyes hollow as spent shells. Brother Mark led them, his voice a gravelly sermon, homosexuality isn't who you are, it's a wound from the fall. We're here to lance it. Sessions devolved into tearful recitations of fantasies, boys stammering about locker room glances or magazine ads, the air thick with shame. When Hudson's turn came, he faltered, cheeks burning. I thought about my brother once. Not like that now, but it scared me. Mark nodded sagely, jotting notes. Familial confusion, common entry point for the enemy. We'll pray it out. Alex's confessions were bolder, laced with sarcasm that earned him extra chores. I kissed a boy at homecoming. Felt right, not wrong. Mark's face tightened, assigning him wall sits until his thighs screamed. That night, in the dim bunkhouse, Alex winced as Hudson rubbed salve into his calves, the air humming with unspoken fire. They're breaking us down to build us back straight, Alex whispered, his breath warm on Hudson's neck. But what if we're already whole? Hudson's heart stuttered, the proximity a drug, and when Alex's hand cupped his cheek, thumb tracing his jaw, time fractured. Their kiss was inevitable, born of isolation, a soft press in the shadows, tasting of pine sap and rebellion, hands clutching flannel like lifelines. It lasted seconds, but in Hudson's soul, it etched permanence. Word of their relapse spread like mildew. A jealous bunkmate, Tommy from Tacoma, snitched during group, his voice piping with false piety. Mark hauled them to the isolation cabin, a drafty shed with a single bulb swinging like a noose. 48 hours. No food, just reflection and the word. They sat back to back on the cold floor, Bibles open on their laps, but whispers bridged the gap. Alex spoke of his abuelita in Mexico, her stories of brujas and free spirits, Hudson of Astoria's ghost ships, legends of lost souls finding harbor. Laughter bubbled up, defiant, and when Mark checked at dawn, he found them asleep, heads touching, pages of Genesis crumpled between. Punishment escalated, group shaming in chapel, where boys stood on a platform, heads bowed as the camp recited, I am redeemed like a dirge. Hudson's family got the call, Harlan's voice booming through the line, relayed by a counselor, double down, or his coming home worse. But cracks formed in the facade. Riley, the stutterer, confessed one night over contraband granola bars that he'd attempted suicide before camp, pills flushed by his sister. They say it's a choice, he slurred, tears carving tracks in the dust on his face. But what if choosing to live means choosing this? Alex held him as sobs racked his frame, Hudson standing guard, the 3 of them a fragile trinity against the night. Midway through July, a field trip to a nearby lake offered false reprieve, canoeing and team-building hikes, chaperones like hawks. Hudson and Alex paddle tandem, the water mirror smooth under overcast skies, dipping oars in rhythm. If we make it out, Alex said, voice low, let's go to Seattle. Find a place with views of the Sound, rain on the roof, no sermons. Hudson imagined it, a loft apartment in Capitol Hill, vinyl spinning Elliott Smith, bodies entwined without guilt. Deal, he breathed, their knuckles grazing as they steered toward shore. But Tommy lurked, reporting the inappropriate lingering gaze to Mark, who cancelled free swim and doubled evening prayers. Letters from home shifted tone. Caleb's grew frantic, Dad's drinking heavy. Church folk circling like vultures. Theo asks for you every night, says the whales miss their captain. Lydia's carried an edge, Pastor Ellis visited. says the camp's progress is slow. Pray harder, Hudson. A package arrived, Theo's latest art, a collage of magazine clippings, the Space Needle, ferry slicing fog, a rainbow flag clipped from who knows where, bold and illicit. Tucked inside, a note in Caleb's scrawl. Burn this after. I'm coming up next weekend. We need to talk. Hope flickered, a candle in the draft. Caleb's visit was a whirlwind. He arrived in his beat-up Ford, dust-caked from the drive, hugging Hudson fierce in the parking lot, away from prying eyes. They walked the perimeter trail, Pines whispering secrets, Caleb's arm slung casual over Hudson's shoulders, a brother's ease that twisted the knife. This place is a fucking prison, Caleb spat, kicking gravel. Dad thinks it's saving you, but Mom's unraveling. And Theo. Kid's drawing rainbows now, says it's for you. Hudson's throat closed, tears pricking. I met someone. Alex. He's like me. Caleb stopped, face storming. Shit, Hud. That's dangerous here. But his eyes softened, pulling Hudson into a hug that blurred lines again, fraternal and fraught. I'll get you out. Promise. That night, after Caleb left with assurances to Harlan, the cabin buzzed with envy, whispers of lucky bastard from the others. Alex pulled Hudson aside during chores, stacking firewood under drizzling rain. Your brother's solid. Mine would have disowned me. Their hands met in the slick pile, a stolen squeeze, and later, under the covers, fingers intertwined, dreams weaving escape routes. But dawn brought reckoning, Mark's announcement of Phase 2, intensive one-on-ones, where boys confronted root causes with electrodes monitoring arousal responses to hetero stimuli. Hudson's session was hell, wired to a machine in a sterile room, flipping through sanitized photos of women in sundresses, the beep accelerating at a neutral landscape, Mark's pen scratching furiously. Denial phase, he diagnosed. We'll break through. Alex fared worse, his defiance cracking under the probes. He emerged pale, collapsing into Hudson's arms during lunch, whispering, they played tapes. Guys. Together. Said it was to show the sickness. But it just made me want. He trailed off, burying his face in Hudson's neck, the embrace a shield. Riley watched from afar, his stutter worsening, and that evening, he vanished, slipped into the woods during a hike, found hours later by search dogs, wrists scored with shallow cuts from a pilfered knife. The camp locked down, sermons thundering on the enemy's despair, but for Hudson, it was a mirror, one wrong step, and they all shattered. As August loomed, the air thickened with impending release, or rupture. Hudson wrote Caleb a letter, sealed with wax from a melted crayon, tell Theo the whales swim free. Tell Mom I love her. And bro, thank you for seeing me. He didn't send it, not yet. Instead, he and Alex carved initials into the prayer rock at midnight, H+A entwined like vines, are packed under the wheeling stars. The camp's grip tightened, but so did their resolve, threads of romance weaving through the terror, a glance across the dining hall, a shared apple core tossed into the brush, symbols of sustenance in famine. The isolation deepened as Phase 2 ramped up, turning Eden's Gate into a pressure cooker where every glance was suspect, every sigh a potential slip. Hudson's days dissolved into rote obedience, scrubbing floors until his knuckles bled, memorizing tracts on biblical manhood, and enduring the cuddle therapy, forced pairings with female volunteers from a sister church in Ellensburg, awkward embraces in the rec room that reeked of mothballs and repression. He stiffened against a girl named Becca, her perfume cloying as chloroform, while Mark timed them with a stopwatch. Relax into God's design, the counselor intoned. Hudson's mind fled to Alex's laugh, the curve of his shoulder in moonlight, and the machine in his pocket, a cheap digital recorder smuggled from Caleb's visit, whirred silently, capturing evidence of the absurdity. Alex, meanwhile, was funneled into advanced diversion, sessions in the basement clinic where strobe lights flashed with audio loops of moaning men, followed by electric zaps to the temples. He emerged each time with migraines, eyes bloodshot, but his spirit bent without breaking. One afternoon, during a rare overlap in the laundry shed, sorting threadbare towels that smelled of bleach and boys' sweat, he collapsed against Hudson, forehead to shoulder. It hurts, Hud. Not the shocks, the lie. They want me to hate myself. Hudson held him, the door cracked for escape, murmuring, then hate them instead. We're getting out. Caleb's planning. Alex lifted his head, gaze fierce. Together. The word hung, a vow, and Hudson nodded, sealing it with a brush of lips, quick as a spark. News from home arrived in fragments, like debris after a flood. A phone call supervised by Mark, Lydia's voice thin, edged with exhaustion. Your father's. Distant. Church is helping, but Theo's having nightmares. He thinks you're gone forever. Hudson gripped the receiver, knuckles white. Tell him I'm coming back, Mom. Stronger. Her paws stretched, heavy. That's what they say here too. Hanging up, he punched the wall, plaster flaking like dry skin. Caleb's next letter, smuggled via a sympathetic kitchen hand, burned hotter. Dad found my mixtape stash. Burned M in the backyard. Said if I defend you, I'm next. But fuck that, I'm wiring money for a bus ticket. August 15th, end of camp. Meet me at the Greyhound in Seattle. Hope surged, but so did dread, leaving meant abandoning the others, Riley's haunted eyes a constant reminder. The camp's calendar ticked toward the testimony retreat, a weekend lockdown for graduates, boys deemed reoriented enough to share their victories. Hudson and Alex were slotted last, their progress dubious. Prep involved mock speeches, standing on a stool in the chapel annex, voice echoing off knotty pine. I once walked in darkness, Hudson practiced, words ash in his mouth, but now I see the light of true love, for Christ and for women as he designed. Alex snorted during his turn, earning a week of silent reflection, gagged with a promise of expulsion. In the solitude of the sensory deprivation room, a padded cell with white walls and a single vent humming like judgment, Alex scratched messages into the foam with his nails, Hudson equals home. Riley unraveled first among them. The stutterer had been a ghost since his suicide attempt, shuffling through meals with downcast eyes, but one evening in accountability group, he snapped. Mark prompted a confession, and Riley's words tumbled out in a torrent, it's all bullshit. My sister's the one who gets it, she sends me books, hidden in care packages. Says love's not a sin. The room froze, Mark's face purpling. Blasphemy, boy. You're regressing. Riley laughed, bitter and broken, and bolted, crashing through the screen door into the twilight. Search parties combed the woods till midnight, lanterns bobbing like will-o'-the-wisps, Hudson and Alex slipping away to the prayer rock, hearts hammering. They found him at dawn, dangling from a low branch by his belt, not dead but close, unconscious, lips blue. The ambulance wailed down the mountain, and in its wake, the camp clamped iron rules, no more letters, no visits, group sizes halved. Harlan drove up the next day, summoned by crisis. Hudson watched from the dining hall window as his father stormed the office, face like thunderhead, emerging with Mark in tow. They conferred by the flagpole, Harlan's gestures broad, Mark nodding obsequious. Dinner brought the confrontation, Harlan at the head table, Hudson summoned like a prisoner. This place is failing you cause you're fighting it, he growled, breath sour with coffee. That kid Riley? Weak. Don't you go weak on me. Hudson met his eyes, steel in his spine. It's not weakness, Dad. It's who I am. Harlan's slap echoed, quick and stinging, the room silent save for clattering forks. Mark intervened, ushering Harlan away, but the damage rooted deep, Hudson's cheek bloomed purple, a badge and a brand. In the aftermath, Alex became Hudson's North Star. They met in fragments, passing notes in hymnals during chapel, you're enough, or sinking latrine breaks, leaning on sinks slick with condensation, foreheads touching. Romance bloomed in the cracks, subtle as fern fronds, a pebble pressed into palm, engraved with a heart, shared breaths under star-pricked skies during firewatch duty. One night, as meteorites streaked the black, Alex confessed, voice velvet, back home, I dreamed of boys like you, quiet storms. Never thought I'd find one who sees the rain as beautiful. Hudson's response was action, pulling him close in the boathouse, the scent of oiled wood and lake water enveloping them. their bodies aligned, exploratory and reverent, clothes a rumple of barriers half shed, the world narrowing to gasps and grips. It was messy, urgent, acclaiming amid chaos, Hudson's hands mapping Alex's ribs like coastlines, Alex's mouth a harbor. Dawn found them spent, tangled in tarps, whispering futures, Seattle cafes, shared apartments, lives unlaced from lies. But paradise fractured. Tommy, the snitch, escalated his crusade, tailing them like a ferret, reporting to mark a clandestine meeting by the lake. The raid came at vespers, counselors bursting into the boathouse, flashlights carving shadows, hauling them apart mid-prayer circle excuse. Mark's face was granite. You've corrupted each other. Separate facilities till testimony. Hudson fought, thrashing against grips, screaming Alex's name as they dragged him to the isolation cabin. Alone in the dark, he clawed the walls, nails splintering, sobs racking until exhaustion claimed him. Dreams twisted, Caleb's hug morphing to Harlan's slap, Theo's rainbows bleeding red. Days bled into a week, rations of bread and water, Bible verses projected on the wall like accusations. Hudson emerged gaunt, eyes sunken, for the testimony retreat. Alex was held back, unfit. The drive to the off-site lodge in Leavenworth was a convoy of vans, boys mute as monks. The event was a circus of salvation, parents in attendance, tearful reunion scripted. Hudson scanned the crowd, no Harlan, no Lydia, just a note from Caleb, delayed. Bus still on. Hold. On stage, under spotlights hot as interrogation, he stood with 5 others, microphone heavy as chains. I came broken, he began, voice cracking, chasing shadows of sin. The audience leaned in, Harlan's absence a void. But as applause swelled for the next boy, Hudson's gaze snagged on a face in the back, Pastor Ellis, notepad in hand, eyes gleaming like a prosecutor's. The retreat devolved into family integration, parents grilling sons in breakout rooms. Hudson drew a blank chair, his family's no-show a deeper cut. Mark cornered him in the hall, breath minty with menace. Your father's disappointed. Says if you don't graduate pure, no college, no home. Rage boiled, but Hudson swallowed it, nodding like a puppet. Night fell with a bonfire, testimonies looping on a screen, boys' faces blurred for anonymity. Hudson slipped away to the tree line, recorder in pocket, capturing the crackle and confessions, a father admitting, I prayed for a straight son, but God gave me this test. Tears stung, it echoed Harlan's silence. Return to camp brought Alex, released but changed, bruises fading on his arms from restraints, spirit dimmed but not doused. They reunited in the laundry, folding sheets in silence, then embrace when hands met. I wrote you poems in my head, Alex murmured. Burned 'em all when they searched. Hudson pressed the recorder into his palm. Listen later. Proof. Their night was stolen in the woods, backs to a fallen log, bodies a bulwark against the cold. Love, raw and real, fortified them, kisses like communions, promises etched in skin. August 15th dawned muggy, the camper buzz with departures. Hudson packed his duffel, heart a war drum. Alex's bus left first, a hug goodbye crushing. Seattle. Find me at the Pike Place clock, noon. Harlan's truck appeared at gate call, engine rumbling judgment. As Hudson climbed in, the river of pines blurred, Eden's gate shrinking to a scar. You graduate. Harlan grunted. Hudson stared ahead. Something like that. The drive home was a minefield, Harlan probing with Bible barbs, Hudson deflecting with monosyllables. Astoria welcomed with fog, the house on Elmer Mausoleum. Lydia hugged him hollow, Theo tackled his legs with whoops. Caleb waited in the kitchen, eyes questioning. You good? Hudson nodded, but inside, fissures spread. Home didn't heal, it hemorrhaged. Astoria's familiar streets, cobbled with history, lined with bait shops and brewpubs, felt like a cage resized, the Columbia's murmur now a mocking lullaby. Hudson unpacked in his old room, posters faded, bed sagging under ghosts of boyhood. Theo shadowed him, chattering about summer camp crafts and whale watches, his curls a riot of untamed joy. You bring me a dragon from the mountains, Hud. Hudson ruffled his hair, forcing a grin. Better, a story. But the tale stuck in his throat, barbed with Alex's absence and the camp's echo. Harlan's reintegration was a regimen, dawn Bible studies at the kitchen table, Harlan's voice graveling through proverbs like a foreman barking orders. A man shall not lie with mankind, he'd intone, eyes boring into Hudson over coffee steam. Lydia hovered, serving oatmeal laced with her silent pleas, her once vibrant curls now pinned severe. Caleb worked doubles at the shipyard, slipping Hudson cash and glances, bus tickets yours. Use it. But guilt anchored him, Theo's bedtime pleas for big bro stories, Lydia's weary smiles. Pastor Ellis visited twice weekly, his follow-up counseling a dissection, camp progress? Any temptations lingering? Hudson lied smoothly now, words oiled by survival, but each evasion chipped his core. School loomed, senior year a gauntlet. Astoria High buzzed with fall energy, homecoming banners fluttering like surrender flags, the scent of rain-soaked leaves mingling with cafeteria fries. Hudson navigated halls with downcast eyes, Micah reads art club sketches now avoiding his gaze, whispers trailing like smoke. Jenny waved tentative hellos, her new boyfriend a linebacker shadow, but pity laced her smiles. Caleb drove him daily, radio tuned low to alt-rock, their silences companionable yet charged. Tara's asking about you, he'd say casual. Says come to the bonfire. Hudson demurred, but the pull lingered, Caleb's profile against the dash, jaw set like Dad's, stirring that old confusion now muddied by Alex's clarity. Letters from Alex arrived sporadic, postmarked Spokane but mailed from Seattle cafes, made it to the clock. Rain like tears, but I'm dry inside thinking of you. Found a job slinging coffee at a spot in Belltown, waves crashing close, like Astoria but freer. Enclosed, a pressed fern, scent of evergreens. Hudson hid them in his guitar case, reading by flashlight, heart a compass pointing north. He wrote back on stolen notepaper, evading censors, whales breach here daily. Theo says hi. Miss your origami, folding my own wings. But sending meant risks, Ellis's sessions probed mail like a confessional. October brought crisis. Harlan found the fern in a laundry pocket, crushing it underfoot in the mudroom. What's this pansy shit? He roared, waving the scrap. Hudson froze mid-homework, Theo peeking from the stairs. Lydia intervened, voice quavering, Harlan, his home now. Let God work. But Harlan's eyes blazed. God's working, all right. Ellis says relapse signs. The argument escalated, plates shattering like ice, Caleb bursting through the door from his shift, fists clenched. Lay off him, Dad. He's not your project. Harlan whirled, vein throbbing. And you're not my betrayer. Defend into this. This affliction? Caleb shoved him, a crack of thunder, and Harlan swung, fist connecting with son's ribs. Hudson pulled them apart, Theo wailing, Lydia herding the boy upstairs. Bruises bloomed on Caleb, purple blooms on tan skin, but he waved off concern. Worth it. Go, Hud. Before it worsens. The bonfire that weekend was a siren call. Warrenton's beach stretched dark, flames leaping high, Tara's guitar strumming folk tunes into the salt wind. Hudson arrived late, hoodie shadowing his face, Caleb's truck idling for quick escape. The crowd parted subtle, locals nursing beers, stories of shipwrecks and scandals. Micah nodded from the fringes, sketchpad in lap, but it was Tara who pulled Hudson close, her embrace sisterly. Caleb told me some. You're brave, kid. Around the fire, shadows danced, and when Caleb joined, arm casual over Hudson's shoulders, the world tilted. Tara watched, eyes knowing, and later, as embers died, she whispered to Hudson, he worries for you. More than brothers should, maybe. The words landed like buoys, illuminating submerged truths. November rains lashed the coast, mirroring Hudson's turmoil. Alex's letters grew urgent, roommate bailed, crash with me? Pike Place nights, you'll laugh in the market. Hudson's resolve hardened, but home fractured further. Theo's teacher called, drawings of 2 princes in a castle, rainbows rampant. Lydia burned them in the sink, tears sizzling on the flame, confessing to Hudson, I can't lose you all. Dads. Slipping. Drinks at the lodge after services. Harlan's absences stretched, returning reeking of whiskey and regret, sermons slurring into rants. One night, he cornered Hudson in the garage, tools glinting like teeth. Ellis says a fresh start, military, maybe. Straighten you proper. Hudson backed away, wrench in hand. I'm not broken, Dad. And neither's your family. Harlan lunged, but Caleb appeared, hauling him off. Enough. The breaking point crested Thanksgiving. The table groaned under turkey and fixings, Ellis a guest like a wolf in wool. Toasts turned toxic, Harlan raising glass to redemption's path, eyes on Hudson. Theo piped up, innocent, Hudson's path has dragons and boys who love boys. Like in his stories. Silence crashed, Ellis choking on pie, Lydia paling. Harlan exploded, chair toppling. What lies you feed in him? He grabbed Theo's arm, bruising, and Hudson surged, shoving his father back. Let him go. He's a kid. Caleb joined the fray, fists flying, plates shattering in chaos. Lydia screamed, Ellis dialing for help, but it was over fast, Harlan storming out into the gale, the house shuddering in his wake. In the clean-up's hush, Caleb bandaged Theo's wrist, voice low, I meant it about the bus. Tomorrow. Hudson nodded, packing under cover of night, duffel stuffed with Theo's whale plush and Alex's letters. Dawn goodbye was a tear-streaked blur, Lydia's hug bone-crushing, forgive us, Theo's whisper, come back with dragons. Caleb drove to Portland's Greyhound, silence thick. At the station, he pulled Hudson into an embrace too long, too tight, breath hitching. I get it now, what you felt. For me. It wasn't just you. The confession hung, a bridge burned and built. Hudson cupped his face, thumb on cheekbone. Love you, bro. Always will. But this, gesturing the ticket, this is mine. Caleb nodded, eyes wet. Go find your Alex. Be free. The bus north was a cocoon, miles melting Astoria's grip. Seattle unfolded in sheets of rain, the Space Needle piercing clouds like a promise. Pike Place hummed, fishmongers hurling salmon, flowers rioting color, the clock tolling noon. Alex waited, scarf loose, eyes lighting like beacons. Their reunion was wordless, crash of bodies, kiss salt-sweet as sea air, hands claiming what the camp couldn't steal. Home, Alex breathed against Hudson's neck. They tumbled into a cramped Belltown walk-up, windows fogged with breath, bodies rediscovering rhythms lost. Days blurred into weeks, shifts at the market, vinyl hunts in used stores, nights tangled in thrift store sheets, whispers of futures amid the city's pulse. But fractures followed. A call from Caleb, Dad's gone dark. Won't talk, just fishes dawn to dusk. Mom's seeing Ellis solo. Hudson's gut twisted, guilt a hook. Letters to Theo flew weekly, stamps of the sound, tales of coffee roasts and ferry rides. Alex grounded him, their love a steady current, walks in Discovery Park, hands linked defiant, sharing dreams over foe in the International District. We'll adopt someday, Alex mused one evening, rain pattering the awning. Little ones with curls like your brothers, teaching M loves no sin. Hudson's heart swelled, but shadows loomed, Harlan silence, the camp's echo in nightmares. Winter solstice brought reckoning. A package from home, Theo's latest art, a fairy painting with 2 figures on deck, labeled Hud and Alex. Tucked inside, Lydia's note, trembling script. Your father. He confessed to Ellis. About his own struggles. Youth, a mill worker. Buried it deep. The camp stirred it. Hudson's world reeled, Harlan, the unyielding patriarch, harboring the same affliction? Alex read over his shoulder, hand squeezing. Explains the rage. But doesn't excuse. Calls escalated, Caleb's voice strained. His drinking the river dry. talks of ending it, like paying the price for failing us. Hudson booked the bus south, Alex insisting on coming. The return to Astoria was a descent, fog thicker than memory. The house on Elm sagged, Christmas lights unstrung. Harlan sat in his armchair, eyes hollow as net holes, whiskey bottle sentinel. He looked up slow, face crumpling. "Boy." Hudson knelt, voice steady. "Dad. We need to talk." The floodgates cracked, Harlan's youth spilling, a forbidden touch with a deckhand, shame swallowed like bait, marriage a dam against it. "Thought the camp'd fix you, not dredge my sins." Tears carved his weathered cheeks. Lydia joined, Theo peeking, and words wove tentative bridges, forgiveness, not absolution. Caleb watched from the door, relief raw. That night, family dinner was quiet, turkey thawed from the freezer, stories shared like fragile ornaments. Harlan's hand on Hudson's shoulder, tentative. "Proud of you. For being a brave." Alex charmed with tales of market mishaps, Theo giggling. As snow dusted the river, Hudson felt mending, a stitch, not seam. Spring thawed Astoria's grip, but betrayal's frost lingered, crystallizing in unexpected shards. Hudson and Alex shuttled between worlds, weekends south, mending familial rifts, weekdays in Seattle's bustle, building a life from barista wages and borrowed optimism. The walk-up evolved, shelves of dogged kerouac and origami birds, a window herb garden thriving on sill sun. Their love deepened, roots delving, lazy Sundays in bed, tracing tattoos Alex inked in a friend's basement, matching waves curling wrists, symbol of tides turning. "You're my harbor," Hudson murmured one morning, lips on collarbone. Alex grinned, lazy. "And you're the storm worth weathering." Home visits unearthed Harlan's thaw. The old man took to walks with Hudson along the jetty, rod slung but lines unbaited, conversations halting then flowing. "That camp. I sent you 'cause I feared you'd drown like I almost did." Harlan's voice cracked over gulls' cries. "Millboy was my Alex. Lost him to shame, married your mom to forget." Hudson listened, anger ebbing to empathy, hands calloused now from market crates mirroring his father's. Lydia bloomed too, joining a book club in Warrenton, sneaking titles like Giovanni's Room past Ellis's Shadow. Theo thrived, his art evolving, family portraits with rainbows arcing overhead, Hudson and Alex hand in hand at the edge. Caleb, though, simmered unspoken. His welding gig steadied, Tara a constant now, talk of rings and ranches, but his eyes on Hudson held layers, brotherly pride laced with something unresolved, stirred by the confession at the bus station. One evening, post-dinner beers on the porch, stars pricking the ink-black sky, he broached it. "That day. When I said I get it. Meant it. Always felt. Off, around you. Not wrong, just. Deep." Hudson's beer paused mid-sip, heart stuttering. Caleb, but his brother waved it off, smile wry. "Water under the bridge, Hud. You're happy now. That's what matters." The word sealed a pact, but Hudson glimpsed the cost, Caleb's grin too tight, Tara's glances puzzled. Summer reignited Eden's embers. A letter from Brother Mark arrived, innocuous envelope belying venom, alumni check-in. Relapses reported. Pastor Ellis requests testimony update. Hudson burned it in the sink, flames dancing like accusations, but paranoia seeded. Dreams returned, zap of electrodes, Alex's screams echoing. Alex noticed, pulling him close after night terrors. "We're free. Let it go." But freedom chafed when Ellis cornered Harlan at the lodge, whispers of deprogramming refreshers for the family. Harlan rebuffed him, voice booming, "My boy's whole. Leave it." Yet doubt wormed, anonymous calls to the house, hang-ups heavy with breath. The betrayal struck in August, a year post-camp. Hudson and Alex planned a road trip, Oregon coast to California, reclaiming beaches stolen by shame. They loaded the old Ford Caleb loaned, cooler stocked with IPAs and sandwiches, playlist heavy on the Nationals' brooding ache. Astoria send-off was festive, Theo waving from the porch, Lydia pressing pie into hands, Harlan clapping backs. Caleb hugged longest, whispering, "Drive safe. Call when you hit Eureka." The miles unspooled golden, windows down, salt wind whipping hair. They camped at Oswald West, waves crashing symphonic, bodies salty under stars, lovemaking slow, reverent, Hudson's fingers spelling sonnets on Alex's spine. Disaster dawned in Crescent City. A payphone call to check in, Caleb's voice, frantic, "Hud, get home. Now. It's Dad." The drive back was a blur, rain sheeting windshields, Alex's hand steady on Hudson's knee. Astoria greeted with squad cars flashing, the house cordoned like a crime scene. Lydia met them at the door, face ashen, Theo huddled in her arms. Your father. Found in the garage. Hose from the exhaust. Note. The words hollowed Hudson, knees buckling. Inside, the air reeked of carbon and finality, Harlan's truck idling eternal in the dim, keys in ignition, a scrawled pad on the dash, "Couldn't fix what I broke. Forgive. Love, Dad." Grief tsunamied. Hudson collapsed by the body, sirens wailing, Alex shielding Theo's eyes. Caleb arrived wild-eyed from the yard, wrench still in hand from a half-done gate. "I heard the engine. Thought he was tinkering." His sob broke, raw as rusted iron. The note passed hand to hand, Lydia keening, he was getting better. Why? Ellis arrived later, Bible-thumping platitudes, suicide's the ultimate sin, but God's mercy, Caleb lunged, fists balled, Hudson pulling him back. "Get out. Your therapy killed him." Funeral was a farce, First Baptist packed with mourners in black, Ellis eulogizing Harlan as pillar of faith, omitting the fractures. Hudson sat rigid, Alex's hand hidden in his lap, Theo fidgeting with a whale toy. Caleb spoke, voice steel, Dad was a fighter. Fought the river, the bottle, his demons. We honor him by living true. Eyes locked with Hudson's, a nod of alliance. Reception at the house devolved, whiskey flows, whispers of the gay son's curse. Tara defended fierce, but Caleb overheard, face-storming. That night, alone in the kitchen, he confessed to Hudson, "It was me. I told Ellis about Dad's past. Thought it'd help, get him real counseling. But the bastard twisted it, told the church elders. Dad found out. The shame. It broke him. Betrayal's blade twisted deep." Hudson recoiled, vision tunneling. "You? For what? To fix us?" Caleb crumpled, tears carving soot from his cheeks. "I was scared. For him, for you, for me. Thought truth would heal." Alex intervened, voice calm, "It doesn't. Lies kill slower, but this." He trailed off, guiding Hudson upstairs, the door shutting on Caleb's sobs. In bed, Hudson shattered, fists into pillows, howls muffled, Alex holding through the quake. "He paid the price," Hudson gasped. "Dad did. For all of us." Dawn found them hollowed, Theo's knock pulling them to breakfast, life insistent. Fallout ripe and bitter. Lydia retreated into Ellis's orbit, sessions doubling, her eyes vacant as tide pools. "He says Harlan's in hell for the act," she whispered one grey afternoon, hands wringing tea towels. Hudson raged, "Don't let that poison in, Mom." But grief warped her, church a crutch cracking under weight. Theo withdrew, drawings darkening, whales beached, rainbows faded to grey. Caleb spiraled, welding torch a fury, Tara leaving notes, space. "This family's a wreck." Hudson and Alex ferried between Seattle and Astoria, bridges burning, arguments with Lydia over Ellis, standoffs with Caleb in the garage, tools clanging like accusations. Crisis peaked Thanksgiving, table sparse, turkey dry as regret. Theo asked for Dad's carving knife, voice small, and silence swallowed. Lydia snapped, "Enough ghosts." Caleb hurled his plate, shards skittering. "Ghosts? You let Ellis in, Mom. He's the haunt." Hudson stood, voice thunder, "This ends. No more camps, no more cures. Or we walk." Alex nodded beside, hand on his. Lydia wept. Theo fled to his room. Caleb lingered, eyes pleading. I fucked up. Let me make it right. Hudson's heart warred, love for the brother who'd burned mixtapes, betrayals sting fresh. Start by leaving the church. Fight with us, not against. Winter gripped, isolation absolute. Hudson retreated to Seattle full-time, Alex's arms a refuge, but nightmares chased, Harlan's truck filling with smoke, Caleb's confession echoing. Therapy started, a queer-affirming counselor in Capitol Hill, sessions peeling layers like onion skins. Grief's a tide, she said. Ebbs, but pulls hard. Alex attended too, their bond a boy. Letters to Theo resumed, envelopes fat with Seattle stickers, dragons here breathe coffee. Miss you. Replies trickled, Mom cries. Caleb fixed the gate. When home. Spring hinted thaw. Caleb called, quit welding for Ellis's rebuild. Joined a support group, for families like us. Tentative visits followed, beers at the pub, talks skirting the wound. I saw a guy in Portland, Caleb admitted shy. Coffee. Nervous as hell. Hudson clapped his back, green genuine. Good. Own it. Lydia softened, ditching Ellis for a women's circle in Seaside, books blooming on her nightstand. Theo's art lightened, ferries again, figures waving from decks. Yet crisis lingered, a shadow. One June eve, Hudson found the old recorder in a box, camp tapes, voices distorted but damning. He played them for Caleb during a visit, speakers crackling with Mark's sermons, boy sobs. Caleb blanched. Evidence. Sue the bastards. The idea ignited a lawsuit against Eden's Gate, testimonies from survivors like Riley, now in therapy upstate. Hudson hesitated, Alex urging, for Dad. For us. Papers filed, headlines stirred, Oregon camp's dark legacy, suicide ties to therapy abuse. The backlash howled, church pickets at the house, Ellis's venomous tracts mailed. Lydia shielded Theo, voice firm, no more. Caleb stood sentinel, first pride sticker on his truck. Hudson and Alex planned deeper, commitment whispers over diner pancakes, rings simple as waves. The lawsuit unfurled like a nor'wester, winds of scrutiny scouring Astoria's underbelly. Eden's Gate's parent network, a shadowy consortium funded by coastal evangelicals, lawyered up fast, countersuits alleging defamation by moral defectives. Hudson's deposition was a gauntlet, sterile conference room in Portland, air humming with fluorescence, attorneys probing like scalpels. Describe the therapy, Mr. Whitaker. He did, voice steady, electrodes, shaming circles, the boathouse raid. Alex testified beside, his olive composure cracking only on Alex's name, they called it corruption. It was love. Riley joined via video, stutter smoothed by time, recounting his branch-dangle despair. Caleb provided affidavits on Harlan's decline, voice recorded, the camp didn't heal, it hollowed. Media swarmed, Portland Trib articles on conversion camp's cruel legacy, national spots on NPR's All Things Considered framing it against Obergefell echoes. Astoria divided, barstool defenders muttering God's will, coffee shop allies nodding quiet support. Ellis rallied the flock, sermons thundering persecution complex, but attendance waned, pews echoing. Lydia faced the brunt, grocery glares, PTA whispers. She armored up, joining Hudson's press calls, voice quaver to steel, my husband died from their poison. No more sons lost. Theo, 12 now, absorbed it sponge-like, his wails evolving to activists on surfboards, rainbows militant. Hudson's Seattle life steadied amid chaos. The Belltown spot upgraded, a one-bedroom in Queen Anne, view of the Sound glittering like promise. Alex's coffee gig bloomed to manager, tips funding weekend getaways, hikes in the Olympics, where Pines whispered camp ghosts away. Their intimacy evolved, comfortable as worn flannel, mornings tangled, coffee brewing to birdsong, evenings on the fire escape, city lights a constellation. Marry me. Alex asked one dusk, ring box velvet, waves etched in silver. Hudson's yes was a sob, kiss ceiling amid traffic hum. Planning began subtle, intimate, Seattle Chapel, summer solstice. But emotional gales persisted. Nightmares mutated, Harlan's note morphing to Caleb's confession, smoke coiling into electrodes. Therapy dug deeper, betrayals are double-wound, from kin, from systems. Hudson confronted Caleb over clams at the Bridgewater, rain-sheeting windows. You sold Dad out to Ellis. For what absolution? Caleb's fork stilled, eyes down. Thought I was saving him. Like I couldn't save myself. Tears mixed with chowder. I'm sorry, Hud. Every dawn. Forgiveness came halting, a tide not turned overnight, hugs tentative, trust rebuilding brick by brick. Fall brought trial, Portland courthouse a coliseum of polished wood and tense air. Hudson took the stand, suit crisp, Alex in the gallery thumbing a prayer bead necklace, ironic talisman from his abuelita. Prosecutors painted Eden's horrors, expert witnesses on PTSD spikes in survivors, stats on suicide clusters. Defense countered vicious, consensual faith-based counseling. Plaintiff's lifestyles the true pathology. Mark testified, buzzcut graying, voice oily, we offered redemption. They chose rebellion. Cross-exam gutted him, tapes played, boys' cries filling the room, jury faces paling. Hudson's rebuttal was fire, redemption? You sold us lies, and my father paid with his life. Verdict dropped like an anchor, guilty on negligence, multi-million settlement for therapy funds, camp shuttered pending overhaul. Cheers erupted in the hall, hugs crushing, Riley on speakerphone whooping from Spokane. But victory soured quick, Ellis's congregation splintered, but he doubled down, anonymous threat scrawled on the Whitaker mailbox, Sodom's fire comes. Lydia installed locks, Theo's school routing changed. Caleb, emboldened, came out publicly, interview with the local rag, from ashes to allies, photo arm in arm with Tara, who grinned supportive. Love's a spectrum, he said. Hudson's pride swelled, old confusions alchemized to solidarity. Winter healed incrementally. Holiday table brimmed, turkey carved by Caleb, Lydia's pie flaky, Theo's toasts to dads in heaven and heroes on earth. Gifts exchanged, Hudson and Alex unveiling rings, gasps and claps. Harlan's absence ached, but a new tradition, river lantern release, paper boats glowing with messages, forgiven. Free. Floats bobbed into the Columbia, stars mirroring their drift. Spring burgeoned commitment. Wedding plans coalesced, June 21st, a reclaimed chapel in Seattle's Fremont district, troll statues guarding the quirky vibe, stained glass rainbow-hued. Invites hand-stamped, Astoria kin, Seattle friends, Riley flying in. Hudson's suit-fitting stirred nerves, mirror reflecting a man remade, blue eyes clear. Alex, ever anchor, you're beautiful. Scars and all. Bachelor Eve was low-key, boys' night at the War Cup, Caleb regaling with shipyard yarns, beers flowing easy. To brothers, Caleb toasted, glass clinking Hudson's, past's weight lighter. Rehearsal dinner hummed, Italian spot in Belltown, candlelight dancing. Lydia teared up, speech soft, you taught me love's not conditional. Harlan would have been proud. Theo, braces glinting, quipped, can I be ring bearer? With a dragon wand. Laughter rippled. But undercurrent swirled, Caleb pulling Hudson aside, voice low, Ellis cornered me at the lodge. Says the settlement's blood money. Threatened to expose family secrets. Hudson's jaw tightened. Let him. We're done hiding. Alex overheard, hand squeezing, together. The eve before, insomnia gripped. Hudson paced the apartment, sound view stormy. Alex stirred, pulling him back to bed. What's haunting? Hudson confessed, Dad's note. What if the reveal tomorrow breaks us again? Alex's touch grounded, fingers lacing. It mends. Truth does. Dawn crept, nerves electric. Ceremony day dawned crystalline, Puget rare blue. Chapel filled, 24 souls, wildflowers rioting aisles. Theo scampered ahead, wand waving rings. Alex at altar, suit charcoal, eyes molten. Hudson's entrance, violin swelling with hallelujah, drew breaths. Vows exchanged, simple, through camps and calms, I choose you. Then the hook, Hudson's voice, steady, turning to guests. Before the kiss, one truth. Eyes on family pew, Lydia nodding, Caleb tense, Theo wide-eyed. That summer at Eden's Gate. It broke me, but forged us. Dad paid the price, his life for the lies we all swallowed. Pause, room suspended. Caleb confessed his part, seeking to heal. Mom, you shielded. Theo, you dreamed free. And Alex, you loved unbroken. Tears traced faces, Caleb rising, embrace enveloping. I paid too, in regret. But today, we rise. Laughter bubbled through sobs, Ellis's empty seat of victory. The kiss sealed it, salt of tears, sweet of promise. Reception spilled to the green, toasts clinking, dances under string lights, Theo twirling with Riley. Hudson and Alex slipped to the jetty overlook, rings catching sunset. Worth every scar, Alex whispered. Hudson nodded, heart full. And every wave. The wedding's afterglow lingered like summer haze, infusing Astoria visits with newfound ease. Hudson and Alex honeymooned light, road trip to the San Juans, ferry slicing Salish sea, cabins creaking under orca songs. Mornings dawned misty, coffee steaming on porches, bodies lazy in flannel sheets. This is it, Hudson murmured one eve, fire crackling, Alex's head on his chest. The life we clawed for. Alex traced the wave tattoo, smile soft. And the one we'll build. Kids, maybe. A house with a view. Dream spun, adoption papers, little feet pattering, rainbows not symbols but sky after storm. Return to Seattle pulse routine laced with joy. Queen and apartment buzzed, walls hung with Theo's art, shelves groaning books. Hudson landed a gig at a non-profit, advocating queer youth rights, channeling camp scars to shields. Alex's cafe thrived, pop-up poetry nights drawing crowds. Evenings wove domestic, market halls of Dungeness crab, vinyl spins of Bon Iver's falsetto ache. Intimacy deepened, comfortable fire, slow explorations by candle, whispers of tomorrows amid gasps. Family mended mosaic. Astoria trips monthly, the Elm House aired, windows flung, ghosts exorcised. Lydia downsized Ellis's shadow, volunteering at the Lighthouse Museum, stories of shipwrecks mirroring her own. Harlan haunts gentler now, she'd say over tea, eyes crinkling. In the waves, not the weight. Theo, 13 and lanky, idolized Hudson stories, tell the camp one again, but happy end. Caleb settled with Tara in a Warrenton fixer-upper, wedding whispers in spring. His coming out rippled town, bar nods turning warm, welding crew ribbing gentle. Brought you a rainbow hard hat, one joked, Caleb laughing free. Crisis echoes faded, but vigilance stayed. The settlement-funded therapy collectives, survivor circles in Portland, Seattle hubs for ex-camp kids. Hudson keynoted fundraisers, voice resonant, we paid prices, in lives, loves. But price of silence? Higher. Riley co-led a group, Stutterer Strength, his art therapy sketches exhibited in galleries. Threats from Ellis's fringe dwindled, a countersuit silencing the pastor, church folding under scandals. Summer solstice marked year one, vow renewal intimate, beach at Golden Gardens, Theo officiating with wand waves. You may kiss the almost husband. Laughter pealed, seals barking approval. Picnic followed, salmon grilled, berries bursting, Caleb toasting, to prices paid, and joys earned. Harlan's lantern tradition endured, boats brighter, messages bolder, watch over the whales. Autumn brought expansion. Adoption inquiry, a foster teen from Tacoma, 16 and guarded, eyes like Alex's, wary but warm. Placement trial, awkward dinners, shared chores, stories bridging gaps. Camp, the kid asked one night, voice small. Hudson nodded, honest. Broke me. But look, whole now. Alex added, arm around, family's the fix. Theo bonded instant, cousin play fierce. Winter solstice gathered all, elm house alight, tree strung with wave ornaments. Dinner sprawled, Lydia's pie, Caleb's brew, Theo's playlist mixing Nirvana and Billie Eilish. Gifts heartfelt, Hudson engraving Alex a locket with Theo's whale sketch. Midnight lantern walk to the river, boats aglow, Harlan's presence palpable in the chill breeze. He'd smile, Caleb said, shoulder to Hudson's. Seeing this. Spring bloomed literal, garden plots in the yard, Theo planting dragon snapdragons. Hudson's book deal landed, memoir outline, waves of truth, from camp to coast. Alex illustrated, sketches fluid as tide. Caleb's wedding wove them tighter, backyard affair, Tara radiant, Hudson best man. Speech heartfelt, brother, you taught me love's not linear. Messy, but mighty. Caleb's eyes misted, hug bone deep. Summer crested with foster permanence, the teen, now Jamie, signing papers, family official. Beach day at Indian Beach, waves crashing, kite soaring, Jamie's laugh tentative then torrent. Hudson watched Alex chase Theo in shallows, heart brimming. This, he thought, the human price worth every. Yet depth lingered, humanity's core, fragile as eggshell. One stormy eve, old tapes unearthed again, Hudson playing for Jamie, hear the lies. We rewrite them. Tears shared, bond sodder. Ellis's obituary clipped months later, heart attack, alone. No gloating, just quiet, rest, old ghost. Anniversary second, chapel return, vows evolved. Through betrayals and births, I choose us. Guest swelled, Riley's partner, Lydia's circle, Caleb's crew. Reception dance till dawn, Fremont Troll's sentinel. Jetty walk post, rings renewed, sound whispering approval. Life's river flowed, eddies of ache but current kind. Hudson, at 30, glimpsed arc, from Astoria boy to Seattle man, scars silvered. Alex's hand in his, Theo's voice calling race you, family a constellation. The price? Harlan's shadow, but light outweighed. In the end, love's the ledger, debts paid in grace, balances brimming.